So things to consider with the franchise. Number one is you need money to invest. Now, with a startup, the investment could be less, but what happens is that you're figuring out the system. So what you save, avoiding a franchise fee in a startup, it may take you 2, 3 years to put that business plan together. Whereas a franchise, there are certain businesses that don't require any type of brick and mortar. You're up and running in 90 days or less. So you're really kind of speeding up the process, kind of figuring out, what you have, looking at your financials, always getting your financials in order. So liquid assets, your liquidity, your total assets, your liabilities. So basically, your assets minus your liabilities give you your net worth. The assets also include the liquidity, but how much money do you have to put towards the business? I recommend as a starting point, 50,000 liquid, 100,000 net worth. You're looking at the equity in your home and things like that for the assets, but you need to deduct the mortgage. But that's just a starting point. You need to make sure that it also depends how you're running the business. So if you're running it full time, you need to make sure that you have enough of a safety net or a nest egg set aside to pay your monthly expense. You may need 6 months living expense aside, because if you are the only income in the household, who's paying your mortgage and rent and health insurance and student loans or whatever you have out there. Money is one, so get your financials in order regardless. If you're looking to buy a business or not, you should know where you stand financially. That's one. Secondly, with a franchise specifically, you want to look at things such as, am I okay following a system? If you're buying a fast food franchise that serves burgers, are you going in saying, okay, I'm okay with the menu and I'm just going to run with what works? Or is your first thought, how can you change the menu? And usually that's a red flag. Not to say there's not any autonomy in running the business, but the intention is to run with that model. That's the advantage you're getting with a franchise. Things to think about. So financials is one, and you notice some of these questions pop up on the website. The second one is, can you follow a system? Really important, because that's the value proposition of a franchise, right? They have the system built out for you so that you can easily execute and run with it. Some people like to create everything from scratch, and that's okay. Maybe not the best fit for a franchise, but that's really what a franchise is. They have the system, you run with it, speed to get open, which is a major advantage. And the autonomy comes with how you're running the day to day via the marketing, your roles, and things like that. And we're going to touch more on roles and characteristics of the business next. And the last thing, as far as financials and can you follow a system, is time frame. Because at the end of the day, you can spend as much as you like researching franchises, but ultimately with the franchise, if you're looking at a specific franchise, other people are looking at a franchise too, just like you're in the real estate market looking at a home or an investment property or building on the commercial side, that may not be available. So I always tell people, if you are looking to make a decision within six months or less, now is probably a good time to start considering a franchise, not to open, but to actually make that decision. Further than 6 months, if it's a year or two, it's okay to start the process, but not maybe dive into specific brands, because we don't know what's going to be available in the next year or two. So that's something also to think about, is that with the franchise, it's going to be a location or a specific territory, and other people are going to be looking at that as well. So consider those three bullet points. I think is going to be super beneficial. And, hopefully you're getting a lot of takeaways.
You've checked the three boxes: finances, mindset, and timing. But here's where it gets really interesting. Giuseppe is about to walk you through his proprietary consultation process and show you how to reverse engineer the perfect business model before you ever look at a brand name.